I want to wish you a belated Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope that you had a great holiday season. I know I did. We are once again at the end of another month, which means our stats are available for November 2025. So let's do our December market update. So Winter Haven, Florida saw 60 closed sales in November 2025. That's compared to 87 a year ago. That's a decrease of 31%. So a very slow November for Winter Haven. Cash sales as a percentage of closed sales, 20% of all sales were cash sales, compared to 14.9% a year ago. That's an increase of 34.2%. The median sales price, $306,250, compared to $289,000 a year ago. That's actually an increase of 6%. And the average sales price, $310,059, compared to $301,111. That's an increase of 3%. Polk County saw a drop in home prices, but Winter Haven, even though it was even slower, actually saw an increase, which is kind of an interesting dynamic. The median percent of original list price, sellers received 95.9% of list price, compared to 95.3% a year ago, an increase of 0.6%. The median time to contract, 44 days, compared to 44 days a year ago, so no change. Median time to sale, 79 days, compared to 81 days a year ago, so a decrease of 2.5%. New pending sales, 73 new pending sales compared to 101 a year ago. That's a decrease of 27.7%. New listings, 91 new listings compared to 113 a year ago. That's a decrease of 19.5%. Pending inventory, 106 pending inventory compared to 104 a year ago. That's an increase of 1.9%. Active inventory, 401 homes of all types active in Winter Haven compared to 407 a year ago, a decrease of 1.5%. And finally, month supply of inventory, we're at 5 months supply of inventory compared to 4.8 months supply of inventory a year ago, an increase of 4.2%. Still technically a seller's market, but very close to a balanced market. Tune in, we'll talk a little bit about what this all means moving forward. So 2024 was one of the slowest years for real estate on record in terms of number of closed sales. And if you factor in the increase in population, because it was the slowest in 30 years, but if you factor in the increase in population size over that 30-year period of time, it was actually the slowest year for closed sales in history. 2025 looks to be even slower, so the market's definitely in a slump. Prices haven't bottomed out or anything like that. We've seen slight decreases. Some months we see a slight increase year over year. So overall, prices have remained relatively stable. Overall, I'd say down a little bit, but not anything real significant that would in fact affect your equity too much, unless you bought in the last couple of years. If you bought in the last couple of years, then you unfortunately are probably upside down. But hold. My advice to you is hold. Don't panic. Keep making your payments. And I expect the market will start to improve here in the next year or so. And you'll be right side up in your mortgage again. If you are facing challenges with all the increase in inflation and everything's gone up, home insurance, if you are facing foreclosure, and that may be you here in Polk County, we have the highest foreclosure rate in the country. It's still below pre-pandemic levels, but it is the highest in the country. The best advice I can give you is not to panic, but also don't stick your head in the sand. Don't pretend it isn't there. If you've gotten a letter, a notice of list pendants, which says notice of legal action, essentially, you are being foreclosed on, and if you don't do anything, you're going to lose your house. Your credit's going to take a massive hit, and it's going to be hard not only to you're not going to qualify for a mortgage, but you're also going to have a hard time qualifying for rent. So don't just do nothing. Don't stick your head in the sand. Don't pretend it isn't there. It's not going to go away on its own. You have to take action. The first thing you should do if you start to see yourself falling behind is make sure that you're reaching out to your lender and seeing if you can work something out. There can be loan modifications. They can also sometimes add payments onto the end of your loan. There's a lot of different things they might be able to work with you on so that you can stay in your home and start making payments again and eventually get caught up. If those are not an option, if your lender's not willing to work with you and you need to sell, then what's really important is to know where you stand in terms of your home's equity. Again, if you bought in the last couple of years, you're probably upside down, so we're probably looking at a short sale. A short sale isn't a fast process. What it means is you're going to sell, the proceeds you're going to receive are less than you owe, the proceeds you're going to receive are less than what you actually owe for the home. And so the bank has to approve a short sale, has to approve taking less essentially. But doing that is still better than getting foreclosed on. If you have equity, however, then you can sell and hopefully walk away with some money. And if you do that, you avoid foreclosure and the hit on your credit. You can turn around and buy again when you're better off financially. Your credit doesn't take a hit. You shouldn't have a problem being able to rent. So it's a much better situation, but you got to know what your equity is and whether or not you're in that situation. Years ago, actually my first year in real estate, I had someone contact me on Facebook. Originally they were actually looking for help to find a rental property or maybe purchase a property. Is actually the girlfriend and for the boyfriend, and the boyfriend did own his home. His wife cheated on him and actually charged up all his credit cards and left him in a financial mess. He stopped making payments on the house because honestly the house brought back memories. I didn't really want to live there. So he was about to face foreclosure in that situation, and we were able to get his home listed. He was able to talk to the judge, get an extension on the foreclosure proceedings to try to sell the home. In the end, he walked away with $35,000. And he didn't have a foreclosure on his record. So he ended up in a much better position. They're married now, and have a great situation. So because you're facing foreclosure doesn't mean the end of it, but you cannot ignore it. You've got to reach out, and you've got to reach out to a realtor that's going to give you all of your options, not the option that's necessarily best for them. In his case, obviously that worked out for me because I got a sale as well. But what was more important to me was that he was able to avoid the foreclosure and walk away with some money that he otherwise would have given to the bank. There's no reason to give money to the bank. So if you have equity looking to sell, and it's still a distressed sale, so you don't want to try to aim for top dollar. You just want to sell so you can walk away with something, so you can get out of the situation as quickly as possible, because the judge isn't going to extend the foreclosure proceedings indefinitely. So if you're in that situation, don't panic, don't put your head in the sand, reach out to a knowledgeable realtor that can maybe help you and explain your options. As far as the rest of you that are not facing foreclosure, if you're a buyer out there right now, rates are around 6.25. I think it's a pretty good time to buy. I think sellers are willing to negotiate. They're willing to give some closing cost assistance, seller concessions, repairs, all those kinds of things. You're in a better bargaining position than you would be if rates keep dropping. And when rates drop and more buyers come to the market, what's going to happen is home prices are going to start to increase. So you've got some good negotiating power. Depending on what zip code you're looking in, you may have really strong negotiating power, especially if you're looking in the Kissimmee-Davenport area. That area is in a buyer's market, so you have a lot of room to negotiate. Also, a really good opportunity for buyers right now is short-term rental properties. There's a lot of them available, so it's a good opportunity for you to maybe get into investing. As always, if you have questions about the real estate market in Central Florida, please reach out to me. Remember, you can't miss with Chris. Have a great day, everybody.